urban fantasy novels? Do you like action and adventure and maybe a little bit of mystery? What about the Wild West? You know, Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, Wyatt Earp. Well, if you said sign me up for all of the above, you're going to like this book series. It's about your favorite Huckleberry and mine. The Immortal Doc Holliday by M.M. Crumley. I just finished book 1. It is a 14-book series with book 15 coming out June of this year, and the author says more books are to come. Book 1 does end on a cliffhanger, which means that when it comes to this series, you have to start at book 1. None of the books can be read as a standalone. Now, our man Doc Holliday is dying of consumption when he is visited by a shamaness who basically says, look, I can help you if you can help me. And, well, Doc is dying and he really doesn't have time for her shenanigans. So he's basically like, how exactly can you help me? And she said, I can make you immortal if you can save my great-great-granddaughter, because I'm not going to live long enough in order to do it myself. Basically, shamans can enter the dreamland, which means that when they fall asleep, they can enter the dream state and visit their relatives or anybody else who can enter the dreamland and have conversations with them. They can visit their ancestors or their descendants. And she used to talk to her great-great-granddaughter, but when she went further into the future, she found that her granddaughter was missing and that something really bad was coming. And she knew that Doc was the only one who could stop it. Well, he said, what the heck? I mean, I'm dying, so if she can make me immortal, I got a lot of life left to live. And if she can't, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to die? So he agreed. Well, now we are in modern times, and he is in this whole entire new world that he never knew about until he became an immortal. And the world is divided into two places. There are the norms, like you and me, which are human, and then there's the world of the hidden, which are cryptids. And we're talking vampires, brownies, banshees, sprites, this Bigfoot-like creature, shapeshifters. A whole really fantastical world of creatures that basically just live like us. They have families, they have jobs, they're just living their life. And there is a bureau that say they want to do like relations between humans and cryptids. The bureau will come into play later in a very important role. Now, Doc is getting very close to the date when all of the things that Senora Teodora told him was going to happen to her granddaughter is going to happen. We're now almost 200 years into the future. Senora Teodora is long since gone and passed away. The problem is he doesn't know where she is. And they've been looking for the wrong type of person all this time. You see, he didn't know that Senora Teodora was a shaman, so they've been looking for a witch. But witches and shamans are two different creatures. That made the search a lot more difficult. Now, if he doesn't find her, this could be a bad thing, because Doc Holliday never goes back on his word. Never. And he made a promise to her, and he is desperate to fulfill his promise. Now, this book is full of fantastic characters, like his friend Jury, who happens to be a witch. And those two have like this like frenemy kind of relationship, like they're an old married couple. I mean, he is just a fantastic character in and of himself. And I hope that we see a lot more of him in future books. And there's a banshee, and there is a plant that talks to him. And it turns out that the plant's not a plant. It was a man who was turned into a plant by a different shaman. And he wants to be a man again one day, but he's another character. And then there is Jervis, who is his vampire that runs his hotel and kind of cleans up after him. So many really cool characters in this book. It's like a whole world where there's the norms, there's the cryptids, and there's so much different interactions. It's such a colorful place. Lots of violence. Lots of violence. But, I mean, we're talking about a dude from the Wild West. I mean, come on. Now, the one thing I do wish I would see in the book is these fights where he feeds off of the scum of the earth are very, like, pretty easy for him. A little too easy. I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a struggle just to make it more exciting. Also, this was Doc Holliday, the Doc Holliday, And even though this is modern times and he had to adapt in order to blend into modern times, you could take the man out of the Old West, but you can't take the Wild West out of the man. So I think I would have liked to seen a little gunslinging, maybe just a little bit. Like I would have loved to seen a little bit of Doc Holliday. And I think it also would have been nice if maybe there was a mention of like Wyatt Earp at some point. Just like a throw in, but maybe they do it in a future book, maybe. But I mean, you know, he's Doc Holliday, and it would have been nice to bring some of that in here, you know, some of his essence a little bit, because I feel like he was Doc Holliday in name only at some points. Like there was some of the charm of Doc Holliday, but I feel like it was Doc Holliday in name, and I feel like we could have brought more of the Wild West Doc Holliday into the modern times. Other than that, this was a super solid book. I mean, we have characters, we have action and adventure, and there are battles, and there's mystery, and there's charm and humor. There is some sexual suggestiveness in this book, because, again, Wild West. It's not graphic. We're not talking about like a spicy romance novel, sexual stuff here. It gets a little dicey when he needs to get some information from a succubus, but again, we're not talking about the level of like a spicy romance novel. So if you're not really comfortable with sexual situations, it's really not that bad. It's mostly sexual suggestiveness. It's just like, you know, him talking about liking sex. It is pretty much as far as it goes. But it is violent, and there is a lot of drinking. Again, the Wild West. I give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's really great. It's fun. It's got humor. It's got action, adventure, mystery, great characters. Like I said, it's got a great immersive world. Once again, there is violence. There's drinking, gambling. There is suggestive sexual situations. So be aware of that, but definitely a solid book.